All right, scholars, today we're going to be learning about perimeter. Today's unit is about perimeter, but first we're going to go over the do now. Now the first question is asking us to evaluate this equation. Remember, the little lines around the numbers means absolute value, or how far a number away is from zero. The first one, I have the absolute value of negative 14, which should be 14 units away from zero, plus the absolute value of 2, which is 2 units away from zero, plus the absolute value of negative 4, which is 4 units away from 0. Add them all up. I have 14 plus 2 is 16, plus 4 equals 20. Now, question number 2 is asking, how long is the line segment that connects 1, 2 and 1, 6? Now, you can do this one of two ways. You could plot it on the coordinate plane, but you also know a way to do it with an algorithm. You look for the numbers that they have in common and ignore them. Now you're going to find the absolute value of 2 and the absolute value of 6. Now, same signs, meaning we need to subtract. And we can't subtract 2 and 6, so we're going to change this around. We have the absolute value of 6 and the absolute value of 2. So same signs, they're both positive. That means we're going to subtract. 6 minus 2 equals 4. 4 units. Now, this is reflecting on something that we did yesterday, and it's reflecting a point. Reflect the point negative 3, 5 over the y-axis. Now first, I'm going to plot my negative 3, 5. I'm going to run backwards 3 and jump up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plot my point here. Continuing on, connect the reflected point to make a line segment. Remember, a line segment connects a vertex to another vertex. Reflected over the y-axis, that's this one here. Now I'm going to pretend that I'm folding this in half. Now if I see that this dot is 1, 2, 3 away from the y-axis, I'm going to go another 3. 1, 2, 3. And make my point here. Now it says to make a line segment. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Connect the lines. Now, the question asks, how long is the line segment? And you could do this a couple ways. You could do it the algorithm way, or you could think, hey, I counted 1, 2, 3 to get to the y-axis. If I reflected it, it's going to be the same distance. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, for a total of 6. Now this is important. Units. Don't forget about your label. Now, how did you find your answer? I found my answer by counting 3 units from negative 3, 5, from negative 3, 5 to the y-axis, then from the y-axis to my new point of 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Number 4 is asking you to evaluate this expression here. 4 and 39 hundredths plus 2 and 7 tenths plus 23. 4 and 39 hundredths. Now it's important to remember that when you're adding or subtracting decimals, you line up the decimals. So 2 and 7 tenths, and I'm going to add a 0 because I like to have everything underneath something else. Plus 23, remembering again to put your decimals underneath each other. And I'm adding. 9 plus 0 gives me 9. 3 plus 7 plus 0 gives me 10. So I'm going to carry the 1 and then bring my decimal point down. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 2 is 7, plus 3 is another 10. Carry the 1. And I'm left with 1 plus 2 equals 3, 4, 30 and 9 hundredths. Like I mentioned earlier, today we're going to be talking about perimeter. And to build ourselves up to that, we're going to go over the skill builder. So take 1 minute to evaluate the expression here and compute this division problem down here. Go ahead. Now, if you need a little bit more time, go ahead and pause the video now. I'll go over the answers. The expression 2 and 35 hundredths plus 4 and 7 tenths plus 8 gives us an answer of 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 4 is 7. 7 plus 8 is 15. 15 and 5 hundredths. Now, my next one. $48,504 divided by 16. Now, 16 goes into 48. Goes in 3 times. 3 times 16 is 48, and I subtract and bring down. 16 goes into 5 0 times, being careful where I place my numbers. 0 times 16, anything times 0 is 0. 5 minus 0 gives me 5, and I bring down my 0. 16 goes into 50 3 times. 3 times 16 is 48, and I subtract and bring down my 4. Now 16 goes into 4 1 time. 1 times 16 is 16, and I subtract to get 8. Now at this point, you could have had a remainder. I'm going to show you how to do it with a decimal. So at this point, you're going to add a decimal. Jose Mata, go ahead and stand up. Stand up, raise the roof. Thank you. Add a 0. And bring it down. Now, 16 will go into 80. I just need to figure out how many times. It'll go in 5 times. 5 times 16 gives me 80. And now that I subtract and get 0, I know that I'm all done. So 4,504 divided by 16 gives me an answer of 3,031 and 5 tenths. Flip the page. Today's aims. Student will be able to define perimeter. And student will be able to calculate the perimeter of basic geometric shapes in the coordinate plane. Now, perimeter. Perimeter is the distance around the outside of a polygon. And now, if I wanted to trace over the perimeter of the shapes below, now you should be doing this along with me. And finally, if you'll notice, I'm only going over each edge, each side, one time. Now, we've got Mr. Greg. Mr. Greg, down in 7th grade, asked all of the scholars to stand on the perimeter of the classroom. And I want you to think about where he would want all of his scholars to stand. The perimeter of the classroom. Go ahead and take about 15 seconds to start writing something down or start thinking about where that might be.
Brian Macias to the front office for early dismissal. Brian Macias to the front office for early dismissal.
So if you started thinking that Mr. Greg would want all of his scholars to stand along the walls of the classroom, you were right. Mr. Greg would want the scholars to stand along the walls of his classroom. Now, how would you go about calculating perimeter? Sure, you could get out a measuring tape and walk down each and every inch, but there's a little bit easier way. So let's say we're in this classroom. We're in the Tomcats classroom right now, and we know that the length is 15 feet and the width is 15 feet. Now, what I know is that if this is 10 feet, I also know that this is 10 feet. And if this is 15 feet, then this is also 15 feet. Now, if perimeter is the distance around the outside of a polygon, that would mean I need to add up all of these distances. So I have 10 plus 15 plus 10 plus 15. And now I can add all of those up and get my perimeter. 10 plus 15 is 25. 10 plus 15 is 25. So that means I have a perimeter of 50. So there are really two steps to finding the perimeter. You need to find the sum. Remember, when you hear sum, think addition. Find the sum of the side lengths, and then write the answer with units. We don't want any naked numbers. This right here is a naked number. I forgot to put on my units, and my units right here is feet. The perimeter of this Tomcats classroom is 50 feet. If you need a second to take down the notes, go ahead. If not, flip the page to our first guided practice problem. Now, I'd like you to find the side lengths of the rectangle PORT. Go ahead and take 30 seconds to find the perimeter, the lengths. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to count. Line segment PO is 1, 2, 3 units. Line segment OT is 1, 2, 3, 4 units. This is a rectangle, so I know that it's going to be the same down here. TR line segment is going to be 1, 2, 3. And line segment RP is going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I can find my perimeter by adding up, by finding the sum of all of my sides. So 3 plus 4 plus 3 plus 4. And you should be able to add that up on your own. So go ahead and do that. Go ahead. If you ended up with 14, you're wrong because you forgot the units. 14 units. The next question is referring to polygon U5L10B, and that is this polygon right here. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to count the sides. I'm going to start up here with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 sides. So if on this one I had 1, 2, 3, 4 sides, and I added up 1, 2, 3, 4 numbers, how many numbers do you think I'm going to need to add here? 6. So I'm going to find my lengths of all the line segments. JK is 1, 2, 3. KL is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. LM would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. MN, 1, 2, and 3. NP, 1, 2, 3. And PJ would be 1, 2. So if I know that I have 6 sides and I need to have 6 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I can go ahead and add those up. 3 plus 5 plus 6 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2. And once you've added those up, you'll have your perimeter. Go ahead and do that now. Three plus 5 is 8. 6 plus 3 is 9. And 3 plus 2 is 5. Now I have 8 plus 9 is 17. 17 plus 5 gives me 22. Did you have 22? Well, that's too bad because once again, we forgot our label of units. Now, if it doesn't specify feet, miles, centimeters, millimeters, kilometers, whatever, be safe and use units because, again, we don't want any naked numbers. Right now, you can go ahead and flip the page to the independent practice. If you feel like you need to review some more perimeter stuff, feel free to rewind the video, rewatch some things, or raise your hand and ask me a question. I'll do my best to come to you and answer it.